So those of you that have used TiReads, do you what have you used? What have you read? I mean, I shouldn't say that. Privacy and all. But what is one of the titles that you've checked out or looked at? Ooh, the growth mindset books. Yes, there's some awesome growth mindset books there. And so that's a really, those are good ones. We have a lot of titles that are for what we teach at TIE. And so if you've taken any of our online classes, you may have come across them. And so when we're in TIE Reads, did I drop it in the chat? I did, okay. You can go through and you can see, like, we have featured in our TIE classes. We also have more collections that have been put together. And so if we click on the collections, you can see all of the different titles that we have going on. And so here's a whole bunch of growth mindset titles. But for Google Classroom, we, and I haven't built a collection yet because I don't have enough titles to build a collection, if that makes sense. But we do have a really nice group of good titles for Google Classroom. So let's look at those real quick. One of my favorites is this brand new one. It's called Stepping Up to Google Classroom. And it's by Alice Keeler, and I do use some of her resources in the, I do use some of her resources because she blogs really prolifically, and so I've referenced her a couple times. But she is, has written this new book, and it's a really good book for beginners because not only does she go step by step through and it's updated, it also, she kind of throws in her best practices. And so this one is one that I would recommend. We have 6 copies of this, and so I can get you signed up for an account and you can check that out. In terms of other books, we have a couple of other Alice Keeler books. There's Teaching Math with Google Classroom. And so for any of you guys that do teach math, I've got 2 copies of this title. And so I'll give you the disclaimer. It was written before, like, this version of Google Classroom came out. And so it'll make reference to things that, I'm trying to think what they used to call, we didn't used to have a classwork tab. We had a different tab. And so it'll make reference to that, but the processes that she uses are still valid. And so don't get too bogged down into the, well, she said to click on and I can't find click on. Look at the processes. So that's a really good one. My other absolute favorite one is this Google Apps for Littles, and that's by Christine Pinto. And it is so much fun, you guys. And so this one is by far my favorite because it goes through and talks about how you can use Google Classroom with the little kids. So I think, so those are just a handful of titles in TIE Reads. So how in the world do you get an account in TIE Reads? The easiest way is to sign up. And so if I send you here, you can all sign up for an account, and then I will create that account for you and send it out to you via email. So, ooh, Larry, great comment about if you want to keep the links, copy the link and post it in your demo sandbox. That's a great idea. And Josh, you asked about, are those in Sora? Yes, these are in Sora, and so you can use Sora to access them. The nice thing with all of the ebooks is you can either read them on your browser, you can read them on a mobile device, and and so you have a number of options. So go ahead and sign up. So when you're on the customizeduse.net page, you can sign up. So if you'd like some books to support you as you go through this work, there are a number of books. And I will right now, we will make a quick assignment, or not an assignment. All right, Gregory, are you in? So let's see. Gregory, I'm going to share the Zoom over. So let me share the Zoom for this session real quick. Okay. Okay. So, and that's as long as you are as long as you're on Zoom, you should be good then, Gregory. If you'd only like to use your Ohitica account, then you can log out and rejoin us if you'd like after you sign in, or just make sure that, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So classwork, we're going to make a quick materials post for you guys. So we'll call it Ty Reads Professional Development e-library. And I'm going to add in the link to Ty Reads. I'm going to add in the sign up link, and then I'll also add up the link to access Ty Reads. And then you guys can come back and check that out as we go. So if you sign up for any of the books right now, or if you sign up for an account right now, I probably won't get a chance to connect you, but I will do that as soon as we're done today, okay? They also have a lot of audiobooks, so if you need audiobooks, you can check those out. But these are professional development ebooks and audiobooks. So I'm going to post this out, and I'm going to drop it in. We'll put it in a topic, and we'll just call it, I'll make a topic called content. All right, there we go. So now you have some resources. Okay, the other question that was asked was, how does one delete an assignment? And we will definitely look at that on how we can kind of navigate the deleting assignments. So today, I wanted to kind of review again how we make those assignments. So when I make assignments, I really do like to have a sandbox assignment class. And so I can go in and use my sandbox to create assignments and reuse assignments rather than having to make them over and over again. So this is an assignment that we're going to work on today, which is the Google Slides. We're going to collaborate, create, and communicate. And the instructions are all attached in the Google Slides document. And so you're going to be able to manage that. So I'm going to assign it to everybody. I'm not going to make it a graded an assignment, and I'm not going to give it a due date. The topic that it's going to fall under is Google Slides, which is where I want it to fall, and I'm going to click on Assign. So everybody should see that, and because the new topics will show up at the top of the list, this Google Slides topic is right there. So today our big focus is going through Google Slides and trying to utilize that resource as much as possible as we dive into our year online. So if you can go to, so as long as you're in our Google Classroom for Eagle Butte, go to the classwork and then go to assignment 005, Google Slides, and then click on the document that is attached there. We will get going. What is a sandbox? That's a great question. So a sandbox can be kind of your demo class. And so I've created a sandbox in all of my different accounts where I put lessons that I'm designing and or I'm going to be using across multiple classes, because then I can reuse those assignments much more easily than if they're an assignment that somebody else has, or then if they're in a different class. It just keeps everything a little more organized for me to come back to. How do you get to the Eagle Butte classroom? Super great question. So same as what we did yesterday, we need to go to classroom.google.com. So if you go to classroom.google.com, then you're going to, if you're not logged in, you're going to need to log in with your OHEDICA account. And once you're logged in with your OHEDICA account, you should see not only your Google Classroom account, but if you created an account yesterday, you should see that new, new class. You should see your Google Classroom for Eagle Butte, and you should also see the new class that you created yesterday. All right, so you only see your class. So Sandy, did you join the Google Classroom class yesterday? So to join the Google Classroom class, all you need to do is when you're seeing your class, here's the code. Make sure you click on the plus in the upper right hand corner and then say join class. And then it's going to tell you, and this is something I was just working with another school this morning, and one of the things that came up was we were struggling to log in. And you do need to make sure that you're logged in to the domain that you are part of. And so we're at OHEDICA. So if somebody, this is awesome that it tells us that you're logged, if I was logged into my personal Gmail account, it would say, julie.erickson@gmail. And so I can see this. If this is not the right account, I can click on switch account and then log in with the appropriate account. And then this is where I would either type in or paste in the class code, and then I would say join. Because I am I am the teacher of this class, I cannot join it as a student. I can't join it. But yes, so that was a really good learning this morning. So Sandy, are you in as your OHEDICA account? And do you want to share your screen? Okay, so let me So sometimes, Sandy, you may need to log out and log back in, and then try it again and see if that'll help. Um, okay. All right, so that's how we get to our Google Classroom. And then today, we're going to work through this Google Slides Collaborate Create, where you guys actually get a chance to go in and create Google Slides. So the biggest thing with Google Slides is they allow you a lot of flexibility. And so when we look at getting started with Google Slides, I've given you a number of different resources that you can explore and use. Oh, Kale, you have a quick question about how do you set up a sandbox? Well, a sandbox is just a class. And so when I set up a sandbox class, I just create a class, I call it sandbox, and that's where I put my lessons. And so it's just a class that I set up as a storage, basically. So you have two options to get to Google Slides. You can either find slides in the waffle, or you can go from Drive and then do New and Slides. I do tend to navigate predominantly from my Drive. I do not tend to use the waffle as much as many people, and that is really a personal decision. And so when I go by the waffle, it takes me directly into slides. And so you're going to see that here I am in Google Slides, and I can see all my presentations that I have been working with. If I go to my Google Drive, now I see all my files, and this is more for me, kind of like using File Explorer on my computer. So if I click on New, I can do a Google Slides, and I can either use a blank presentation or from a template. And so you have a couple of options there. One of the things that we're really seeing people do is they're using Google Slides for collaborative work, but they're also using Google Slides for creating hyperdocs and creating assignments for students that are entirely in the slide. Ruth, yes, exactly. I prefer using Drive because it does help. It helps me keep all of my documents organized better too, and I can find what I need. And that is exactly how I feel about it too. So I do tend to use Drive more than Slides, but you can get there both ways. So I'm giving you guys some tutorials, but then I do want to kind of explore some of the ideas that we are doing. And so really this next step is to explore some of the links here. Ditch That Textbook, which I'm hoping he works today, has some amazing resources, and I'm thinking he's not going to work. Shoot. Oh, maybe. Yay. Okay. So this is the Ultimate Google Slides Teacher Resource. And so this is a blog post with links to links to links. And so it can really be overwhelming. But I encourage you to scroll through and just, even if you don't click on anything more, look at the different ideas that he's sharing. One of the ideas that I really like about his is as we scroll on down, he talks about how to create movable digital activities. He talks about how to create icon boards for sticky brainstorming. You can do that. So he has a number of different blog posts. If I click on this templates here, it's going to take us all the way down the page, and all these do is give us a starting point. And so if you wanted to play a would you rather game, if you wanted to do um, choice stories, interactive notebooks, blackout poetry, so many different options. And then you also have a whole bunch of Google Slides themes. And then this one, 20 ways to use Ditch That Textbook with K-12. And so here are all these different options that I just love because these are here. You do not have to recreate them. If I click on it, it's going to come up. It's going to be view only. And so that means that I'm going to have to file, make a copy, and I'm going to say the entire presentation. Then I can organize it in my drive. And so I'm going to do not have a good, well-organized drive here. I'm going to make a new file folder here, Eagle Butte. I'm going to say this file is this, drop it in here. I may want to rename it, and then now, boom, this is my copy that I can use with my students and share. This is one, because this is a card sorter, and this would be one where you want each of your students to be able to edit. And so you would want to make a copy for each of your students when they do that. Oops, that's not tallies, that must be shape. So yeah, so you can go ahead and go do these card sorters. Here's the answers, and so you would potentially want to delete that slide before you share it out with your students, or leave it, and then they can have that as their key when they're done, depending on how you're using this assignment. So this is those 20 ways to ditch that textbook with K-12. I'll drop that in the chat so you guys have it, easy peasy. Let's see what else is in here. And I can go back through that a little bit slower if you would like. So go ahead and click on the link I just dropped in the chat. That's going to give you some options for template slides. And the nice thing about Google is if you are shared something with Google and you're like, I like this, and it's view only, you can make a copy and then it is yours that you can now edit. And so you can make it yours. So Google really allows you that flexibility and that capability to do that. So I'm going to grab, a slide. Oh, really? Okay, that's okay. You know what? I'll share a slide deck and then you guys can, let me make it, so any one of you guys can, this is one of the slide decks, and I know it's elementary. You may want to be asked that, thank you, Susan, you're taking care of us. Okay, so here's a slide set. It's the one that I'm looking at right now. Let me see if I can find another one that looks, these really are for elementary, so they're not really. I want to find something fun for middle school and high school. not fun. Well, here's an introduce yourself theme for back to school. Okay, so we'll grab that one. So this is a Slides Mania one. And so you can, never mind, we're not going to do this. We're just going to do it with the one. And then you guys can edit and make it yours. So go ahead and click on that slide that I shared in your presentation or in the comment. Click on that slides. So we have our slide right here, and you're all in it with me, I can tell. You're going to see that it's view only. And so what you want to do now is you're going to want to go and as long as you're logged in, and I know you're all logged in because you are in Google Classroom, you can click on File, Make a Copy, and then at this point, you can either select entire presentation or selected slides. And so if you have a really large presentation and you only need a couple slides, you could just copy a couple of them. I'm going to say copy the entire presentation. And then when you have the opportunity to organize your drive. So it's going to pop up and it's going to give you the name. And so you can rename it if you need to. And then you can go, and if you click on the folder, you're going to see in My Drive, and then all of you guys should have a classroom folder because that's what's automatically created when Google Classroom is created. But then I made an Eagle Butte folder. If you guys want to make your own folder, if you want to make your own folder here, you can click on the plus for a new folder and it'll make your own folder. You can make a new folder. So I'm going to chop it in my Eagle Butte file. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to say OK. And so now I have a copy of the document. So once we've made a copy, this is my copy. I can edit it however I want. And so this is where it is really powerful because now I can share this with my students. I can assign it to them either as a document or either as a view only, or they can edit it. So this is where you have some options within slides. So I do encourage you guys to look at some of the template resources because it gives you that opportunity. Okay, I'm going to keep on scrolling down because Casey Bell, you guys should be able to get to Casey Bell, I hope. Casey Bell, and I'll drop her link in the chat too. Has so many different ideas of what you can do with Google Slides. And so as you go on down, and this is the best part, is you get links out to different samples, different resources. And so she gives us all these different ideas. And so here I'm going to create an ebook with Google Slides. And so here I have, it gives me all the instructions for how to create an ebook. And so if you're looking for different ideas, Casey Bell has some really cool ideas that you can explore. And then the last thing that I want to show you with this is some sample slides. And this is really just a hodgepodge of ideas that I've used with different groups. And so when we're looking at this was a worksheet. and we were now online. And so when we're face to face, it's fine, but when you're online, it's not so fine. And so I wanted it to be more collaborative. So what I did is I made a slide, I inserted a table, copied and pasted the questions, and then the participants were able to answer the questions and also have some discussion. And so it really worked well for doing that. You guys have done this collaborative slide before. And then this is one of my favorite activities. So this is something that you can do face to face. You can do this online with breakout rooms. So you have options. We did this is a whole group activity where we did primary source analysis. We practiced it. And then I sent them into their rooms where everybody had a picture and their questions. And so they reflected and they answered the questions. And then they were given a little bit more information and they were able to answer some more questions. And then I came back after our discussion and we answered even more questions. And so it was a really good opportunity to build discussion and have people collaborate. What do the highlights mean? One of the management techniques that I use when I'm working with teachers or students is I'll ask them to write their names at the top of their breakout room slide, and then highlight the name of the person who will share. So when you come back, you can say, okay, room 2. And so it's not like dead silence and people don't want to share. It's people are able to share and do that. And so that's kind of the Google Slides overview with some different examples of what you can do with it. So what you guys get to do next is you get to create a Google Slides that you can use in your classroom. And how do you do that? I need somebody to share the screen with me right now so that I can um, show you what it looks like from the student side. So is anybody brave enough to share their screen today? Anybody want to share their screen? Okay, Susan, thank you. All right, so go ahead and share your screen, Susan. Awesome. Okay, so you're in the assignment. Where I need you to go is back, or you're on the document. I need you to go back to the assignment. So you should be able to get back to your classroom somewhere. So go up to the tabs. All right, over one more. There you go, perfect. All right, so this is your assignment. So go ahead and view the assignment. And at this point, you have a couple of different options. You've read the instructions in the assignment, and it tells you that you need to create a slideshow. So you can click, there you go, under your work, go ahead and add. So you're creating it. And now when you click on it, go ahead and click, don't click on turn it in, but click on the slides. Now you can edit those slides and you can make your slides to turn in. I want to go back to your assignment real quick. The other thing you can do is, do you want to show us that you can find, so like say you've already got to meet the teacher's slides, you're not going to recreate the wheel. Can you add or create an assignment? So could you add something from your Google Drive? It's like if you just made a copy of, if you want to go back up to the top. Oh, I'm not, we don't, I feel bad making you, did you make a copy of the which one doesn't belong? If it's not yours, you can't add it. Oh, yeah, no, you can't add it. You have to add a file that you own. So I didn't know if you made a copy of it. But yeah, so you can go into your Google Drive. You can add, you could also upload something from your computer if you needed to by clicking on the upload. So, and you don't have to add anything else, Susan. I just wanted to show that we have that capability to, you don't, if you have something, you don't have to recreate wheels. You can just add it. Awesome. Okay, so now you've added a file that you've already created. And then when you're done, you can go ahead and turn it in. So it's going to tell me that you've got 2 attachments there. Go ahead and turn them in. So now those attachments have been shared with me, the teacher. And if Susan wants to go edit her Susan Van Tassel Google Slides, so go, yeah, click on that one. What do you see there? Eek, it's view only. That's because you've shared it with me and make a copy. No, no, no. You've turned in your work. And so you can no longer make changes to that work. Go back to your assignment. You can say, oh no, I didn't mean to submit it. And you can unsubmit it by clicking on that. And then it'll be unsubmitted and you will be able to edit it again. I can also return that work as the teacher and you will get it. So now you can edit away and life is good. You are such a good driver. We need to go on the road, I think, except I don't really go anywhere, but oh, that looks so much better. Okay. Thank you so much, Susan, for sharing your screen and being such a good sport to drive. All right. So does everybody feel like you are ready to make a slide for your classes? And you can take a template that's out there, but you can't access, I guess, never mind. You can use something that you've already created, but the really main thing is that you are going in, using the Google Slides and accessing and then adding it to an assignment so you can see how it works when you add it to an assignment. So any questions about that? All right, you guys are really quiet. So this is actually, you're creating a new assignment, a new slide. And so this is totally different than what we did yesterday with the collaborative slide deck. And so in your assignments, you're going to want to add an assignment, add the slide. I want it to be something that you can definitely do something that meets your needs and not just a demo. Yes. And so if you want to do meet the teacher or how to XYZ, totally. Don't just do something for a demo. Definitely make it something, or even if a start of something, like you're going to start something. This is the start of my meet the teacher or start of my classroom processes. But don't feel like you have to just make something for a demo. So I'm going to give you guys, so in this assignment, what you will do is you will go to your assignment and then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a where it says you have that turn in work and et cetera, you will create or add an assignment. No, this is something that you can actually, so like Rochelle, if you've created something for another class, that will be in your Google Drive and you can turn it in as an assignment for this class. And so you could just add the file like Susan showed us. After you edit your slide, how do you submit that? So after you've made a slide, all you need to do is turn in your work.
So you guys are working on an assignment and I'm in as a teacher. So Cheryl, I'm going to pick on you real quick. I can see any of the people that have started working on this assignment and have created attachments or added attachments that haven't submitted them yet. And so here,
Thank you, Susan. Um, Susan said junior high teachers can come to her room this afternoon at 2. So thank you, Susan. So when I go up to the top of the page is where I see the assignments that I can filter it out by turned in. And so you'll see they have the little green turned in, but we do not have to have them turned in to be able to collaboratively edit. Susan is one of my heroes too. She is awesome. So like Cheryl's slide has been assigned, and to me that just tells me that she is working on it. And so I could pop in on her slide. She must have, oh, she hasn't turned it in. Um, I could pop in and add comments. And so this is a really great way to be able to add those comments, add that feedback as we're going. And so you have some different options there. So all you need to do once you are done with your slide is, let me find me as a student. So once you're done with your slide, you can go in and submit the work or turn in the work. And so once I've attached something, I can oh, this is me as a teacher. Sorry, I did not want me as a teacher. I have to be in winter. I can't be a student in your classroom, and that's the because I don't have a student account. So once you're in your work and you're ready to turn it in, go back to that assignment. You've added or created your work. And then I can now turn in. And so where you've attached your work, you just go back up and you turn it in. And then once it's turned in, as a teacher, I can now edit it and return it back to you. And so that's the easiest way to do that. But yay, I'm seeing lots of stuff being turned in, which is awesome, and lots of different things. So that is, you know, kind of the basics of using your slides. The next thing we're going to look at is how you can utilize different resources to manage PDFs, because one of the big struggles that I see when I work with schools is, how do you go from being able to hand work out to a PDF, to something online? How do you manage that transition? And so there are a number of different ways that you can edit PDFs and use them in an online environment. And so the assignment for this one is if you do have PDFs that you want to go through, we'll walk through the steps of how to turn a worksheet into a PDF. But I want to make sure that you guys have these resources, because that has been one of the more frustrating components for people as they're moving to an online classroom. So what we're going to do is, if you have any iPads, you can actually edit directly on a PDF. And so if you are using the mobile app and you're using like iPads or tablets, you can write directly on a PDF. If you're using just a regular computer, one of the easiest ways is to use Google Slides. And I've got step-by-step instructions from Slides Mania, along with a couple of videos that guide you through how that process. Um, so what we do is we're going to set up a custom size. We're going to turn our worksheet into a JPEG or PNG file. And then we're going to attach, we're going to add that on our slides. And then we're going to be able to do text boxes and assign it out. And so it gives you some options there for assigning the work. Douglas, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. Well, let me look real quick.
Oh. Oh.
So okay, so I will in the chat, I'm going to give you the link so that you can view the so that we can all get to this file real quick, and then you can okay, so I just dropped in the chat the PDF resources for you, so you have all those. So I'm going to walk through the steps of how you turn a PDF worksheet into an editable worksheet that you can use in Google Classroom. When you're thinking about this, this is not necessarily something that you're going to want to do with every assignment. It's not necessarily something that you're going to want to do. You may want to translate your assignments into something else than a PDF, but other times you may want that PDF. So to do this, I'm going to go to my drive. I'm going to make a new Google Slides. And then what I need to do is I need to resize my page. And so when you're resizing your page, you can click on File, Page Setup, and then I can change the size, and I'm going to a custom size. So when I'm doing the custom size, I'm going to make it 8.5 by 11, and so that it's the same size as a piece of paper. I'm now going to delete my text boxes that are on the slide already, and I just click on those and delete. And now what I need to do is I need to find a PDF. And so because I've done this a couple times now, I do have a couple of PDFs that are out there. And so we're going to grab some geometry, because there's nothing more fun than geometry on a Tuesday afternoon. So once I grab the geometry worksheet, it opens up as a PDF, but the PDF is what I don't need. I need it now saved as an image. If you have the full version of Adobe, you can just save it as a PDF, but most of us don't. And so what do? We're going to take a quick screenshot. And so you guys practiced that yesterday, which is awesome. So you have that, you know how to do that. So I'm going to make my screen just a little bit smaller so that I can see the whole page. And then there's two different things you can do to grab a screenshot. There's the snipping tool, which you find in the, if you click on the search bar next, if you go down and click on your Windows key and type in the search bar there, you can see the snipping tool. Or you can do the Windows key, the Shift key, and the S all together, and that will allow you to do a screenshot. And so I'm going to do a quick screenshot of my worksheet. And so I've got the whole worksheet here. And what it did is it saved it to my clipboard. And so I'm going to click on that because I now want to save it to my computer. So if I was going to do this in mass, I would definitely do this making my images, and then I would do the next step. So here we have our image. Now I'm going to close that because I don't need it anymore here. And I'm going to go back to my slides. What I'm going to do next on my slides is I'm going to right-click and I'm going to change the background. And here you see I have the option to choose image. I can upload an image, and so I'm going to browse. And then we have the picture that I just took. So now what it does, I can say done. I have a worksheet that is the background of my PDF. At this point, I can add in text boxes. And so if I want to share with people, you know, let the students know where I want them to write the answers, I can insert text boxes. And I can say type here. I can fill them in. You'll notice we have the little fill tool here. I can fill them if I need to. Ruth, it only changes the background on one slide. So I'm going to create another slide here by just hitting enter. And you're going to see that this background is empty. You can, when you're changing your backgrounds, if you do change background, choose image. You're going to see that I have this add to theme. If I click that, it'll make everything be the background. But if I don't, if I just make it the background of the one, we're good. All right, so here is your slide. I've added a type here box. I can add in a fill color if I want, so that students can see the boxes more easily. I can copy and paste this if I want to just copy and paste it, so that everything is together. So now I've put this in as an editable worksheet. So that is one way that we can turn a worksheet into an editable, or a PDF into an editable document. Obviously, depending on what your worksheet is, you're going to have better example, better results different ways. So what I'm going to do for you guys right now is I'm going to actually assign this to you so you can open it up and you can see what it looks like. So I will go and make a new assignment in our classwork that says, we'll call it our slides, or our editable PDF using slides. I'm not going to give it a category, so it'll just show up at the top. Great question, Tim, about adding the whole page as a text box so they can write on the whole page. So we'll come back and touch on that real quick. So I'm going to add this sample PDF. I'm going to insert it, and then I'm going to make a copy for everybody. So I'm handing this out as a copy to everybody in my class. So this is going to be make a copy for each student. I'm still not going to give it a due date, nor am I going to give it any points, but it's an opportunity for you to see how that works. And so this is when we're in that assignment. So I'm going to assign that out to you so you can see an editable slide. So what would happen if I put a text box across the whole thing? I could, but then I would lose so I could just put a text box here, and then students could type, wherever, but then it's going to be harder to have the student answer specific questions because they're not going to necessarily be able to get their answer where you want it to be and associated with the question. So if I was going to do this with my students, I would probably put the image on my slide so that it's the background, and I would teach my students to enter a text box and answer the question rather than adding the text box for them, especially for older students, because it's not, younger students, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but for the older students, they can make their own text box and type in the answers. So that might be a little bit easier. All right, questions on making a PDF editable using Google Slides. So I did assign that to you. And so you can actually go in and view that assignment, see what it looks like, see how you can interact with it, and then you can submit it. Okay. So any other questions about doing the um, PDFs in an online environment and using that PDF option? Are there any questions about that?
Hello,
Hello.
Doug Peterson here. I already have editable PDFs in cases provided by the publishers. When I import them into Classroom or into my classes, they sometimes remain editable or uneditable. Josh, if you're online there, could you respond to what we've seen? And my question is, do we need to import these into the slide, or can we import them as straight PDFs?
If you have an editable PDF, nothing should change with it when you upload it, because a PDF doesn't convert.
Okay,
I mean, it stays a PDF when you upload it. Most of the PDFs that I've been dealing with have been just they're a piece of paper. And people are trying to make their piece of paper that they, typically hand it out into something that you can use online. And so
okay.
this is one way. If you have a truly editable PDF, one with the boxes or whatever that comes with your curriculum, it should work. What I've seen with those sometimes is it's not so much that they don't work as the students don't have the right Adobe, like they may not have an updated enough Adobe on their device to be able to open it and edit it. Does that make sense? I mean, you don't need the full version of Adobe, but if you don't have a high enough version, it won't work.
Remember when would that work better though if we imported it into the slide? Would the editable boxes still remain, or would we have to
They would
recreate those?
be totally lost.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, great questions. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions on the PDF? I would just make sure you have an updated version of Adobe, mainly because, so in one of my previous lives, I worked for an organization where our VPN did not get updated very often. And so the Adobe there and also the like browsers were really old. And so things would not open or work. So as long as you have a current version, you'll be fine. Is PDF better or necessary? I am so glad you asked that question. Um, really, if you can change your PDF into something else, you don't necessarily have to use the PDF. I've just worked with a lot of teachers who are panicking because they have a lot of documents that are PDFs and they want to still be able to use them. I really encourage you to think about some other ways to do this. And so one of the other options that you're going to see when you open a PDF on in Google Drive is you're going to see that you can click on this PDF document right here, and it's just a Microsoft Teams PDF. You'll see that you can convert a PDF with Google Drive, and so I can turn it into a Google Doc. What happens here is you end up with the formatting gets a little wonky. This one isn't too bad, but many times if they have a lot of images or really heavy formatting, they will be really distorted. And so if students convert them, then they're going to not end up with something that you're going to be able to utilize very well. And Dennis notes that some PDF files can be editable in Lumen PDF in the Google Apps with that add-on. Yes, and I think PDFs are such a challenge. They really, really are. One of the other tools that I really like is Jamboard, because even we can put the image, like so we could put that image of our geometry worksheet in, and then we're able to draw, write, annotate all over the Jamboard. And Jamboard is part of the Google Suite, and it acts as a whiteboard. And so this is one of my favorite tools. And so when we go in and look at Jamboard, if you go to your waffle, you'll see Jamboard as one of the options, and they assured me it's turned on. Yay! And you're going to see that I don't have any jams created yet, and you guys won't either. Jams are created by clicking on the orange plus in the lower right-hand corner. And then this is like a cross between a whiteboard, a Google Slides, and a drawing program. And so in this situation, you're going to notice that you have background. So you can just use like a grid. We have grid paper that'll never end. You also have a gray grid. We have writing paper if we want it. So you have a number of options that way. The other thing that we have over on the left is you have all your tools. You have a pen. So if we click on that, you'll have different options. We have everything from a brush to a pen to a highlighter. You have an eraser. We have our select, and so that's just going to allow us to select. We can add in sticky notes. And so as a group, we could collaborate on this document, and we can add in sticky notes and reflect on something or brainstorm or anything. We can also add an image, and so this is where when like we just added the image from the geometry, so I have that. So I can add that in here. I can resize it. And here now I have something that I could go in, I could mark it up, I can write if I wanted to. I can draw a chart if I need to. So I have a number of different options there to be able to interact with my background there. I can also use a laser pointer, and so if I'm instructing, I can come in and I can say, okay, everybody find the probability or whatever I want to do. So lots of really cool options with Jamboard. And in our resources, I'm giving you guys a curated list of Jamboard tutorials. And this is some really cool examples. And so these introduction slides, I'll share these with you. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but so if you're looking at elementary level, we can go in and share, do some organization. We can do which one of these is different. So this could be something that was assigned to each student individually. This could be something where the whole class is collaborating. So you can utilize that. If we keep on rolling down, you can utilize like the geometry tools to be able to insert images of those resources. There are templates that you can get of the Cuisenaire rods, getting for math. I love this for mind maps and brainstorming. Here's some ELA stuff. Look how you can bring in, you can do some highlighting, you can bring in images. I've seen a lot of teachers use this as like a grammar, because you can go through and you can highlight and underline really easily. Science, morning check-ins. So lots and lots and lots of different ideas that you can use with this. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple seconds, and I'll drop a couple Jamboards in. I'll drop a couple Jamboards in for you so you can test them out. But Jamboard really is a good way to collaboratively work amongst yourselves. And so I'm going to share this one, and I'll just, actually I lied. I'll make this elementary Jamboard. And then I'm also going to, I can copy these Jamboards if I want. And so when I go back to the Jamboard, I can copy it. Never remember how to copy it. You copy it when you're in it. So now I can copy it. I'm going to call it middle school Jamboard. And then I'm going to copy one last one and call it high school Jamboard. And then so when I post the assignment, you guys will each be able to go in and play around with the Jamboard at your grade level. And what I really want to know is, how are some ways that you think you could use Jamboard with your students? So I'm going to make an assignment. This is one where the assignment is going to be, I'm going to attach multiple files to this. I'm going to say select the Jamboard for your grade level or your grade grouping. And then I'm going to add, and this is also really awesome, I can add multiple files at once. And so I'm going to say high school, middle school, elementary school, insert, boom, boom, boom. You're all going to collaboratively edit the same, or edit your files. So I'm going to say students can edit your files. I'm going to not have it be graded with no due date, send it out to everybody, and boom. So now you're going to have a new assignment that pops up at the top of your screen where you can go in and utilize Jamboard. And so I'm going to give you guys just a couple seconds to go in and check out Jamboard and see what that looks like. And the fun thing is I can go into Jamboard and I can see what you're doing too. Hey, Susan, I see you in the middle school Jamboard. Tony's in the middle school Jamboard. So go back to your classroom. For Google Classroom, click on the classroom, the classwork, and then at the very top you should see Jamboard. How can you use this with your students? So go ahead and add a Post-it note, add some words, draw on this. You can really do anything. It's totally up to you. Ooh, somebody tilted. So the elementary Jamboard is going places. Let's look at the middle school Jamboard. Cool. Let's see what the high school peeps are doing. Check in. You added a Post-it note. Awesome. So Kevin, you got that funny error on your Jamboard when you tried to go to the Jamboard? You middle school peeps, I think I have to watch you. I'm loving it. Is Dennis buying lunch?
It says that there's too many people in there.
In which one are you in, Kevin?
Elementary.
Elementary, okay. Why don't you pop into one of the high school, middle school or high school ones? Because there's fewer people. There's fewer people in the high school one, so just pop in there. We wouldn't normally have quite this many people in a group. Fourth grade can be middle school or elementary school. I don't care. This is just more for an opportunity to pop in and check it out. And see what you can do with it. Having this many people in each one is not necessarily the best. I generally try to do groups of like 4, but just because of time and everything, that's where I just let you kind of go in. Oh my goodness, you guys are just doing some really cool things. This is so much fun, you guys. You could do this. I could do this all day long. So tell me, what are some ideas that you have for using this? Chat, unmute. Small group collaborative work, a way to take roll, yes. Daily check-in. Another way to edit PDFs, yes. Another way to be able to add, use the PDF and be able to add content to it. Check understanding. And remember, I could assign this to each of you too. I could have given each of you your own Jamboard. And so, oops, excellent example. So one of the bad things about Jamboard is we can erase the whole thing, boom. And so when we are doing collaborative work, having this big of a group is, I mean, we're not doing anything really life earth shattering, and so I don't really care. But when we're doing group work, we will want to remind students that if you erase the whole thing, if you clear the frame, it literally will clear the frame. But this is just so many things you can do with it. So I love your ideas for exploring Jamboard. And I do encourage you guys to go back and look at the resources for Jamboard, because I've shared out an idea board for Jamboard where there are just a number of cool ways that you can use Jamboard and share that out. So lots of different things there. Okay, so that's Jamboard. This is one of those tools that, yes, you can add pages. I'm glad you noted that. Thank you. You can add pages. And the other thing, so it's really easy to add pages just by clicking on next frame, and you end up with another frame. You'll see that you have the little arrow under the pictures. Yes, it only clears that page, yes. So, and if you want to see all the frames, you can click on the little arrow under the pictures and it'll open up all the frames for you. So, yeah, the potential for this, I think, is like unlimited, and especially for as we're trying to teach online and provide those opportunities for students to interact and collaborate, this gives us another option. Oh, you guys are way too much fun. I love this. Okay, so let's go back. So I gave you a number of resources to explore for Jamboard. So I encourage you to go and check them out, because you may find ideas that you can just copy and paste and use and not have to recreate anything. So other options for dealing with PDFs. So let's see. Who mentioned Lumen? Dennis, was that you? Yes, Dennis mentioned the Lumen PDF. Another option that you can utilize is the Kami Chrome extension. And so this would be something that if you wanted to use this, you would need to make sure that not only do you have the extension, but your learners would need to have the extension too. There's a free and a paid version of it. And as you scroll on down, this talks about how you can use it with Google Classroom. I mean, you would be able to use the straight PDF, so you'd be able to attach your PDF, and then as we scroll on down, you see it gives you that option to open with Kami, and then you can use the toolbar to edit. The biggest difference is there is a Turnitin here that you cannot use unless you have the paid version. But you can turn the assignment in using the turn in button in Classroom. And so it's not the end of the world. But so that might be one too. If you're really struggling with PDFs, like how can you manage that? That's another way. One of my favorite ways to utilize PDFs is to actually change that PDF into an interactive lesson. And so HyperDocs, which a lot of people utilize Google Slides to create HyperDocs, they are essentially activities that you can go through and utilize. So if we go and look at HyperDocs, you can scroll and we can find samples. And so one of the things that I like about this is I can go through and I can search. I can see some templates. I can go in and I can find samples. So if I go and I look at math, I can go in and I'm in a Google Drive with free lessons that other teachers have created. And so I use this a lot for ideas. I also use it a lot for like inspiration of what to, you know, how to make it work. And so if I click on a hyperdoc, it's just like when we find a template. You'll want to make a copy. So file, make a copy. And then you're going to notice that, you know, all the instructions are here. There's videos, there's cubes, all that stuff is embedded. And so this is something that students could go through essentially at their own pace. You could build in your own, like if you have curriculum materials and or supplemental resources that you use, you can include those. And so if they're mentioning something that you don't have, like a lot of schools use IXL, but maybe you have MobiMax. Maybe you can say, you know, instead of IXL, you'll do a MobiMax. So knowing that you have these opportunities can be a really great way to convert what was a PDF into a hyperdoc. And so that is the kind of how to deal with PDFs. Couple more options are listed on here. GoFormative is an online program. And so you can scan in a document or you can upload a PDF and then you can, you know, like add questions. And so it kind of acts like a Google quiz, but not really. So that can be another option for you to look at. And there are resources for GoFormative also. All right, that's a lot. So I think we're at 5 minutes out. So when I found the hyperdoc stuff, yep, so that is under the search for hyperdocs submitted by educators. And then I did find and I did samples. And so here I will drop that in the chat. So you can grab that really quickly. But definitely, you know, sometimes I find I need to get a little bit of inspiration before I can convert everything. I mean, and then you have to get to that action part too. But so if you can take a few minutes and explore some of these things and get some ideas for what you might use, it can also make it a lot easier as you move forward. So any questions about anything we've talked about today? Cheryl, did you want to share your screen with me?
I don't have my screen up anymore with my slide on there.
Oh, bring it back.
Okay. Oh, that's easier said than done.
I know.
There we go. There it is.